Okay, so today the topic that we are going to discuss is about calculation of different mathematical operation using some mathematical function, okay,
Yes.
which is available in the Java program. So let's start with this. The list of the mathematical function, I will post it in your classroom. You will get it later on. So we will see the practical implementation, how the practical things can be done. Okay, because it is equally necessary for your short question as well. Okay, so let's just give it a name. Math functions is the name of the class. Okay, we're using the util function, util package. Okay. So you have to remember that whatever the mathematical functions that we are about to use in the Java programs, all of this mathematical function have a return type, that is the result obtained from that mathematical function is always double type. Okay, so all mathematical function returns results in a double type. So whenever you have to create an output variable, always you have to remember this output variable should always be in a double type. Okay, so let's start off with this. We are going to start off with the first mathematical function, that is math.max. Okay, the first mathematical function is math.max. Okay, so for this we will take two values. Okay, we are not taking any value from the user, we will randomly take the value so that our program becomes short and we will able to complete as many number of mathematical functions today. You can also take the value from the user. So we will take a double type value. Let's say a is equal to 32.5689 d semicolon, and we will take another variable, okay, in the form of, let's say, 84.5. Or should we take a random value? Better we take a random value, then we can do some case study also. Okay, so better we take it in a random value instead of taking it a constant value, otherwise the case study becomes difficult. Okay, so we will just give a printing statement, system out print. Okay, enter the value of a, and we will take it from the user. So scanner class is required, scanner is equal to new scanner system.in. Okay, so a is equal to sc dot next double. Okay, because all the mathematical function works upon the double type, so we will take only double type. Okay, and we will use the same to take the value of b. Okay, so the value of b is equal to sc dot next double. So the first mathematical function is the math.max. math.max is the function which compares only two values and find out or gives out the result in the form of
The greater one.
the maximum value will be returned. Okay.
Yes.
So maximum value will be returned. Okay. This is, you can also say, is the substitute of greater than sign. Greater than sign is one of the relational operator which is available in the Java. So we will see that what kind of result is obtained. So we have taken an output variable C where I will write C is equal to, okay, math dot max. Okay, and in the between I will write the variable that is A and B are those values amongst which the comparison will be done. So whichever will be the largest number, that will be stored in the variable C.
Sure.
Okay, and it will be displayed as the result. Okay, so system out print, okay, the result is plus C. So with this, we complete the first mathematical function and we will run the program to check the output, whether it is successful or not. Yes, there is no syntax error. So let's check the output. Okay. Now, if I take, because we have taken double type, please remember this, we have taken double type. By default, if we try to take an integer value also, the compiler will perform implicit conversion. What is implicit conversion? That is, the lower data type value will be
Low to
automatic.
higher.
The lower data type will automatically get converted into the higher data type. So suppose in the first value, if I take 32, now 32 is the integer type value, but it will be accepted in the variable A as 32.000. Okay, see, 32 has been accepted. 32 has been accepted. Now, if I take a smaller value, okay, of the B, let's say 25. See, because it is the double data type, so what is the result obtained? 32.0. Okay, so that means if you take the integer value also, the implicit conversion has been performed by the compiler at the back end, and that is why your result is not 32, it is 32.0. Now you have to remember one more thing. When you have been asked all this kind of the question in the section A, short questions, and you have been asked to find out the output using this mathematical function, you have to be very specific with the data type. Suppose this kind of input is given and you are writing the result 32. 32 is a wrong answer because the mathematical function returns the value in the double type. Okay, we will rerun the program to check with another set of the value. Now this time we will take double type of value with a very close precision. Okay, so 25.045, and we will take another value 25.0045. So what is the output? 25.045 is the maximum value. Okay, so you have to be very precise with the values as well, because it can be very close comparison also. Okay, now we will take normal values just to see if the output can be obtained in that other way. This time I will take the value of A as 78. Okay, and I'll take the value of B as 79.35325. Okay, so obviously my output will be 79.325 because my value of B is greater than value of C. So this is what is the function of, this is what is the operation of math.max to compare two values. Okay, now I will move on to the next mathematical function that we will have, that is math.mean. Okay, so I'll just edit this part. Okay, math.mean. Okay, and this is the alternative of less than sign, which is also one of the relational operator present in the Java to calculate the minimum value. Okay, so what I will do is that again the return type, that is the result obtained from the minimum function, is also double type. Basically all the mathematical functions have the return type in the form of double data type. Okay, so I'll just change this part. It looks like same. So instead of math.max, we will use math.mean to find out the output, that is comparing two values, and we will find out that how it can be done. Okay, so compiling it is absolutely fine. Now if we run the output, we need to enter the value of a, so we will take an integer type of value just to check whether it is running or not, 65, and then we have 56. So again the output which is obtained is double data type because 56 is an integer value, and since my output will be obtained in a double data type, so I am getting the output 56.0. okay, I will rerun the program to show you with another set of values. This time I'm taking 56.05 as the value of a, and then 56.005. Obviously 56.005 is a smaller value as comparison to 56.05, so that is why the output which is obtained is 56.005. okay, now what if we take the equal value? Let's check it out. Okay, we have not checked in the maximum part, but whatever will be the application happen with the minimum value, the same application will happen with the maximum value if we take the equal value. Okay, so let's try with this. If I take 52 and I take 52, so it is understood that why 52.0 is coming. The 52.0 is coming because there is no other value for comparing the maximize or the minimize button. So that is why 52.0 has been treated as a minimum value, because in both the cases you have 52. If it was maximize, if it was math.max, if you still enter 52, then also the output which will be obtained is 52.0, because you don't have any separate value to be compared. So what is the difference out in this case of math.max and math.min function? In the greater than and less than side, if your condition is not true, if you remember the previous example, if you don't remember, please go through that YouTube video. Okay, in the greater than and the less than side, when we have a condition, if the condition is not true, then no output was obtaining. Okay, so to get the output, to obtain the output, what has to be done? The condition need to be true, only then we can get an output. But in the case of math.max and math.min, what is the thing which is arising? That is, no matter the condition is true or false, whatever value you provide, it will be compared and some output will be obtained. What is that output? If it is a math.max, in spite of having equal value, then also you will get an output. And if it is a math.min, then also you are having a two similar value, then also the output will be obtained. Okay, so this is what about math.max and math.min. We will go in a little complex kind of operator right now. Let's see. Okay, what we will do is that we will take another value d. Okay, using the same statement. This time we will prepare a complex expression. Okay, let's see. The value of d also to be taken from the user. We will take three values. Okay, now I will create a complex expression. How? I will create it math dot max. Okay, I put a bracket, and inside the bracket I write math dot min a comma b, bracket close, comma c. Okay. Now, before showing you the output, let me see what dry run you can do and I can do. Okay. Now it says,
So
okay.
C will be D there, I guess, in the equation.
Acha, हाँ, it will be D. Thank you. Okay. So math.max. Okay. It requires two values. Math.max in the previous cases also we have seen that max compare two value and minimum compare two value. Now we will just use our basic sense of the BODMAS operation. Now in the BODMAS it is said that bracket comes first. Okay. Now you have this inner bracket first. So this bracket need to be calculated first. Okay. So how will you calculate? This bracket need to be
First math mean.
So first math dot mean will be performed, that is comparing the value of A and B, whatever the result comes out, minimum value, with that value you will compare the value of D for the function math dot max. Okay. Now since we do not have any value, so we will try out by taking some value to check whether it runs or not. Okay. Remember the expression, it was math dot max in the bracket math dot mean A comma B and then comma D. It means that the first comparison that will happen is between A and B for math dot mean, and after that what output will come out, that output will be displayed, that result will be compared with the value of D for math dot max. So let's take some value, 65 value of A and 58 as the value of B, and value of D, let's say 46. Okay. So that means your output is 58. How it is 58? If we do the dry run, in the first dry run, what we have seen, math dot minimum A comma B. Okay, so from A and B, whatever is the minimum value, that is 58 or 58.0. So the first output is 58.0, which is obtained from math dot minimum A comma B. Okay, now this 58 is compared with 46 for the mathematical function math dot max. So out of 58 and 46, whichever is the largest value, that will be shown as a result. So 58.0 is the result. Okay, so this kind of complex expression need to be developed so that you can understand how the things need to be done. Okay, now without erasing this result, I will rerun the program by making a slight modification. That is, this time I'll just reverse it and I will make it math dot mean and I'll make it math dot max. Okay, and I'll compile it. Okay, let's see what is the difference in the output. Now first I will enter the value of A. Let's take the same set of value to see whether any difference comes out. Okay, 65, then you have 58, and then you have 46. Okay, so the output which is obtained is 46.0 at the last. Why? Because my inner condition is math dot max. So out of this, whichever is the maximum value, A comma B, whichever is the maximum value, that output, that result will come out and compare with the value of D with mathematical function math dot mean. Okay, so now 65 comes out from this result. So 65 and 46 you will compare. So which one is the output? This is the output. 46.0 is the minimum value. So this kind of complex expression will definitely come for your short questions in the section A of your syllabus. Okay, now we'll move on to make some complex expressions using some other kind of operators. Okay, have you started trigonometry in the class? Class 9?
Sir.
Have you started trigonometry in the class?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Trigonometry not started. Okay, fine. Then I will do this trigonometric part later on. Next come is the random value. Okay, math dot random. Okay. Next is math dot random. Now this is completely different as compared to the other mathematical function that we have done. Okay. Now in the math dot random, what happens? You need not require any input. Okay. But if you try to show the output, any random number which is ranging from 0.0 to 1.0. Okay. See this very carefully because it might be confusing for you. Okay. Now if you try to print any result using math dot random, obviously the return type will be the double type. Any random number which lies between 0.0 and 1.0, that number will be generated. Okay. So for the time being, let me just since I do not need any value, so I'll just switch it off this part for temporary. Okay. And what I will do is that I'll use it. C is equal to, okay, math dot random, okay, semicolon, and I'll just use the printing statement to see what output is obtained. Okay. Let me compile it if it works. Yes, no syntax error. So let's see the result. So any random result will be generated using math.random. Did I took any value in the program? If I show you the screen, in the math.random, did I took any value? No value has been taken. Okay. So math.random, the utility of math.random is actually required in the case of database maintenance. Okay. Database maintenance are those, like it is a technical process of storing any data in the cloud storage. Okay, there is the application of math.random, because any random person can access any information from the database. So that is the occasion where math.random coding is actually required and in the back end of the database. So that is an entirely completely different concept, and it's very detailed concept. You just have to know theoretically because it is a part of the syllabus. Okay, now what I will do is that, since you are watching this, any random number ranging in between 0.0 and 1.0 will show you the output. Okay, it can be any value. Now just to understand it in a better way, what I will do, I will rerun the program to see if any output is obtained. Now see, the next time the output which is obtained is again a random number which is within the range of 0.0 and 1.0. Okay, it should not be greater than equal to 1, it should not be less than equal to 0.0. So this is the unique speciality of one of this mathematical function, which is known as math.random. Okay, if the question being asked theoretically that what is the function of math.random, the only answer that you will come up with, it will display any random value ranging between 0.0 and 1.0. That is the only thing you have to remember. Okay, just if you want to see, or like if you are expecting that how is it possible, for that I will show you the output for one last time. See, 0.6591. Every time I am running the program, every time the output which is obtained is completely different from the previous one. In spite of that, we did not take in any value. So math.random does not require any value. It does not require any value from the user. Okay, but it will just give you the result in terms of double data type. Okay, now after math.random, we have another mathematical function which is very common to you because you have already used it. That is math.sqrt. Okay, it is used to calculate. It is used to calculate the square root value of a base number. Okay, square root value of a base number need to be calculated using math.sqrt. Okay, for that I'll just switch off this line because this line is not required, and I'll come back to this part. Okay, now in this case I'll use the square root function math.sqrt, and I'll take the value of a. So let's do some addition. Okay, let's do some addition. Math.sqrt a, math.sqrt b plus math.sqrt c.
So D, SQRT
D. Okay. Now, before performing the addition, it is also sometimes required to see whether my square root of a, square root of b, square root of d are getting calculated properly or not. Okay. For that case, what I will do, I will give some printing statement. I'll just use a printing statement to check whether my square root has been successfully calculated. Okay. The result of SQRT A is, I have not stored any variables, so I have to use the direct mathematical function. Okay, so math.sqrt A. You can use direct expression instead of variable. Just like you see, I'm using direct math.sqrt A to see the result whether the square root of A is properly calculated. So I'll use the same printing statement. Okay. We need another. Okay. So I'll use the same printing statement to see whether the square root of B and square root of D is getting calculated or not. B and D. Okay. And after that I will see whether the addition is being happening properly. Okay, so let's see whether, okay, there is an error. Okay,
M capital.
M is the capital. This is called syntax error. This is called syntax error. Okay, now I'll close this part and I'll run my program, enter the value of A. Let's make it simple to understand. We'll take 25 square root is 5. Okay, then we take 36 and then anything 49. Okay, okay, so square root of 25 is 5.0, square root of 36 is 6.0, square root of 49 is 7.0. Now if you add up, so 7 plus 5 12 plus 6 18. 18 is the result. So as you can see that your square root calculation is happening successfully. Not only that, you have sum of the square root value. So this part, as you can see, this is the output of your square root expressions. Okay. Now what I will do is that today I will post a homework using all these mathematical functions that we have discussed today. Okay. And you have to predict the output. You will get it by the evening, around 9 o'clock in the evening today, because I have to sit and prepare the question. Okay. And what you can do is that you will predict the output and you will repost or you will submit it in the Google Classroom application. If you don't know the Google Classroom application, you can refer to your senior students. Their senior students know that very well. Okay, it's very easy. No need to worry, because once you submit the homework, I will give you the feedback from my side whether it is absolutely clear or not. Okay. So please do join the Google Classroom as early as possible, and by evening around 9 o'clock you will get the assignment posted. Thank you very much.